The next question is, how does brainstorming maximize potential?
Well, first, there are. Uh, well, I got excited about when I was researching brainstorming, how many different kinds of brainstorming there are,
Mm.
and I I really like the two kinds that so the two kinds that I've been playing with. The first is, I'll call it random brainstorming, which is what most people think of when they think of brainstorming. It's just, let me just get all the ideas out, and I'm not going to judge them. I'm not going to even think about them. I'm just going to get curiosity, just get that creativity going. Uh, I think what's really useful about that is it's an exercise that separates the creation of the idea from the judgment of the idea. And anytime you can separate creation from judgment, good things are going to happen. Useful things are going to happen. The other kind of brainstorming, which I love, is this idea of edge crafting. And it's the idea of, can I work an idea and then take it to the next level and then the next level. And this is essentially, thinking about academic life coaching. It's okay, if can I get trained in life coaching and then apply it to young people, students? Yes, cool. Can I then train people can I establish my own private practice? Can I prove, yes, like, you can make a living, you can as an individual, have a sustainable practice that supports you? Yes. That's making change? Yes. Can I then train people to do that? Yes. Can I train whole schools to do that? Yes. Well, now can we train school districts? What about a whole state? What about a whole nation? What about the whole world? What if every teacher were a trained academic life coach? That just was part of teacher training. It's that kind of thinking, it's that edge crafting. Like, how can I take this to the very edge? And you think, okay, so why stop at teachers? What if teachers actually taught coaching concepts, and then students left, their high schools as a complete, with coaching skills, not to necessarily, not to become coaches, but coaching is something. The skill set of coaching is so useful to any other area of someone's life. It's more like, it's training in listening, empathy, leadership, creating visions, really organizing that internal space. This is the construct that will help students organize that internal space. So when you start to edge craft it's taking the one idea and then just moving it to the next, like upping it in that level. So it's brainstorming down a specific path. This kind of thinking, it requires a separation from that critic, that inner critic, or how is it going to happen? No, those things, you just got to just push them out for a little bit, get clear on the vision, and then it really is, okay, so what would be the next step? What's the next step? And that's to me is a very exciting, yeah, that's a very exciting way to brainstorm.
Yeah, that's awesome. It reminds me, the visual that I saw was, the idea mapping, where you have the idea, you circle it, and then you branch off. So you branch off to um, do exactly what you're doing. Okay, so from here, this moves to here. Okay, where else can I take this? And it constantly just kind of grows into this. I guess it's kind of a tree as well, but that was a visual. I was like, oh, I think that's so helpful, and something, if somebody is like, okay, I want to do this, like I need to do exactly what John's talking about, I think that's a great starting point, is to just get it on paper and allow yourself to see it and just roll with that. Because I've been shocked when I do that kind of mapping system, when I have an idea, what else comes up and what I get really excited about that I didn't even realize that I was interested in or excited about. And that might end up being like a shift for me and get me motivated to do the thing that I want to do. And so that's, yeah, I think that's really cool. And that judgment piece, I think putting aside, is really important as well. Allow
Yeah,
yourself to dream.
absolutely. It's a separation of creation and judgment that is useful, and it's also useful to have judgment later. I think judgment is the most useful when it's combined with metrics, where if you can try to measure something and then, you know, look at and then ask yourself the question, what's useful about judgment and what's not useful about judgment. The not useful part is, I feel like it stifles creativity, and then it can also induce shame. And having, like, working with a coach around those two things, around, okay, so how do I want to handle it when it comes up? When I'm looking at something and I realize, you know, this isn't where I want it to be yet. It can be really challenging, you know, to feel that, almost having a game plan. Okay, so like the game plan around judgment, how do I want to game plan this? I think when in this idea of, you know, all these emotions, it's really useful to think in terms of useful, not useful, or what about this is useful, you know, and there are, you know, and then what about this is not useful. Like, for instance, sometimes it's not useful to lean into creativity. Sometimes you really do need to lean into judgment, rather than say, you know what, let me just try it again. Let me tweak this. Let me change this. Let me change that. Let me change that, without really creating metrics or judgment. So I've done that several times. Maybe I still do that, but it's, you know, you're asking yourself, okay, so what kind of system do I need to put in place here to handle most of the things that come up? And I mean, yeah, that is the life coaching perspective.
Yeah, that's awesome, John. I don't have anything else to add to that. That rocked.